Hello, cheeseheads, and welcome to the Cheeseman Podcast. This is Brendan, your host for the show. Joining me to look back on that shambolic 3-0 defeat to Dinamo Zagreb that saw us out of the Europa League. First up, we have the caller. It's weird to say, how are you doing? But how you doing?
Jose out! Jose out! I'm all right, thanks, yeah. I'm all right. You know what? I'm calm because I kind of expected it a little bit. After watching Spurs for 30-odd years, surely we come to expect these massive Spurs ups.
Yeah, I guess, but...
Don't get me wrong, I'm gutted, but we'll get into it in the pod. I don't want to blow your intro.
We will. No, the intro's blown, mate. Fuck it. Also joining, although from Australia, it's been a while since we've had him on, David Harris. How you doing, David?
Look, it's great to be back. When I made my cheese room debut back in the days, we were top of the Premier League and qualified top of the Europa League. So what could possibly have gone wrong in the meantime?
Yeah, I think we should probably just have had you on more. Maybe that would have changed it. I don't know. Good. Thanks for joining. Thanks for staying up. You. What time kickoff was it there in Australia?
4:45 a.m.
Fuck me. Maybe were you up anyway? Or
yeah, I've got a bit of insomnia at the moment, so I was up anyway. I was always going to watch it, but we'll get into the first half. But that could have sent me back to bed anyway.
Also joining, Seb. How you doing, mate?
Yeah, I wasn't expecting it. I'm not calm. I'm angry. I'm very, very angry.
Which makes a really refreshing change for you, Seb. I can't wait.
Yeah, I don't know how anyone can be calm after that.
It wasn't great. It was fuck. Where do we begin? Where the fuck do we begin? Was this the most embarrassing night in the last 30 years? I mean, there's plenty to choose from. You look back. I mean, there was a game where we were 3-0 up against Man City, and they went down to 10 men and came back and did us 4-3 in the cup. I think that was around 2002. I think. 2003 maybe. There was the game against Man United where I think we were 3-0 up or at least 2-0 up
3-0
at half time. And they came back and spanked us 5-2, 5-3. But we've had so many. I mean, even by our standards, tonight was fucking embarrassing, caller, wasn't it?
Yes, is the short answer. I can't fluff it up. That was one of the worst performances I've ever seen in supporting Spurs for the last 30 years. And I'm sure there'll be many listeners and people that have supported Spurs longer than me that say equally that's the worst they can remember. The fact we were 2-0 up, the players looked like they didn't give a shit, the majority of them. And tactically, we were completely inept. The most disappointing thing, I can take losing. I think any Spurs fan can take losing. Hell knows we're used to it. But to lose without any fight whatsoever, complete capitulation, and almost a feeling of inevitability once that first goal went in. That's how I felt. Inevitable that it was going to happen. And I joke in the preamble that I'm resigned to it. Of course I care. Of course I give a shit. Do I want to see us lose to Dinamo frickin' Zagreb? We shouldn't even be in the Europa League with that squad. It was a disgusting performance and a disgrace. I don't know what more needs to be said. It was terrible.
Yeah, David, you're slightly not a lot older than us, but you mentioned before that you're pushing
ancient, David, ancient.
you're pushing 50.
Apparently, there's a lot of fossilised remains in Australia. Here's David.
Well, myself and Danny Minogue will be celebrating our 50th together in October this year. What a great day it was for global civilization when we both came into the world.
There is no way. Hang on. Danny Minogue is 50.
Yeah, this year, October the 20th. Absolutely. Danny.
She's aged better than you, mate. Christ. How old does that make Kylie?
Kylie's older, 2 or 3 years older. So, but Danny's had a lot more. Don't forget, Danny's had a lot more work done to her than I have. Let's rest assured.
But no need to defend it, mate. No need to defend it. You crack on.
I think I just want to chuck into the mix the most embarrassing night in the club's history. I'm not sure about that, but let's not forget that a good pub triv question coming up over the years to come is what team were 2-0 down in the first leg? Their manager of the first leg went to prison. They got a new manager and won 3-2. I mean, that makes it even more embarrassing.
It does. The prison thing, I fucking forgot about that as well. It's Oh, it just gets worse. But David, I mean, over the 50 years that you've been on this planet and supporting Spurs,
Yes.
has there been a more embarrassing? Have you felt as shit as we do right now?
I'll tell you something. I think the two most shit I felt is one, 97-98, Christian Gross. We went up to Barnsley. We were in serious danger of getting relegated. The Goons were going to win the double. I was literally having nightmares in the shithole and Cricklewood I was living in at the time, waking up that we were going to get relegated and Arsenal were going to win the double. We went up to Barnsley. They went 1-0 up, and some Spurs fans started fighting each other because there was an argument about Rule Fox. Klinsmann went off at half time. Vega was sent off. We looked better when we were down to 10 men. We got it back to 1-1. That was shocking. But the very worst was Gross's last game when we lost 3-0 at home to Sheffield Wednesday, where Andy Hinchcliffe, who turned us down, scored a free kick. That was the complete nada trough of being a Tottenham supporter, and I've seen plenty.
I was there then. I would have been there. I went to every home game in the Christian Gross era, so I would have been there. And fighting amongst ourselves about Rule Fox, that's doesn't get more Tottenham.
No.
Seb, how about you, mate? I mean, where does this rank in your sort of embarrassing Spurs moments?
Well, I'd argue this is actually look, the Man City when we were 3-0 up against 10 men, that's probably worse. But in terms of the way that I feel, in terms of disappointment, I feel worse now because my reason for feeling worse is I look at the talent, in inverted commas, that's out on the pitch. And like you said earlier, we shouldn't even be in the Europa League with that squad. And we can't get it together. At least in the 90s, we all knew we were shit. We didn't have... I look back at some of those teams that were out and, some of those players weren't Premier League quality at all. But this is... we've got the England captain. We've got that team tonight. We can dissect it. It's full of
World Cup winning goalie.
Yeah, it's full of international players. It's full of players who should.
But can they trap a ball?
It should take some responsibility.
Come on, man! You got to be international these days. You got to trap a ball.
Was that supposed to be Roy Keane, caller?
This is why I don't do impressions. Well, I do. I do Alan Partridge.
You do, unfortunately,
and that's about it. It's true though, Seb. They're all internationals. They can all trap a ball, and well, they couldn't tonight.
Sissoko can't trap a ball ever.
Very true, and yet has won a World Cup medal. How does that even happen?
I don't. Was he in the squad then? I don't think he made the squad.
No,
was he not? Well, no. He's in and around it very often. I think the point you make is a good one, Seb. There is absolute quality out on that pitch. There's Mourinho. Now we're going to slag him off in a minute, and I'm on the Mourinho out bus now. I'm sorry, I am.
Big news
because I have breaking news. Caller is out for Mourinho. Because in the words of Popeye, I can stand what I can stand, but I can't stand no more. The attitude on the pitch, and he quoted after the game, the attitude of the players, was shocking and not what we want and all the rest of it. But the attitude surely comes from playing for the manager and having a game plan.
This is what I've been saying for weeks. Right.
Yeah, but it's been very up and down, Seb, in fairness.
No,
we've all been up and down, to be fair. Come on.
I really don't think I have, right? I've been saying, I said it after the West Ham game, and everyone and people mocked me. Other people.
Which West Ham game?
Mocked me. when we lost 2-1. There is no plan. And now the players look to me like they have down tools. Because if you're going to go out to fight, right, and you don't load your army up with weapons, you haven't got hope, and that's what's happening. They are going out. There is no game plan. They're just doing what they want. The players. That's what it looks like to me. Half-assed. The third goal tonight. And I know we're meant to be dissecting the game kind of bit by bit, but Aurier shook his leg at the player, right? It was so half-assed. And what it made me think was that at half-time in extra time, right, there was a clip of Jose just walking and doing that thing that all the managers and players do, talking into his palm, right, giving a quiet word. He should have been geeing them up, telling them what to do. We said this last time. Football players aren't the cleverest. They need to be told what to do. no one cared. No, honestly, and Dyer shouting at the end, big wow. That was the first time. It took 115 minutes.
Dyer, don't even start me on that, man. He is his namesake. He is terrible. He should not wear a Spurs shirt again. I'd go that so far as to say.
When the lineup came out, Caller, what were your thoughts? We saw Dyer and Sanchez. We saw Sissoko and the Winks.
Yeah. Well, we saw Aurier right back ahead of Doherty, and we should be happy about that. But as Seb's rightly just identified, he's no better than Doherty. No better. Cost us a goal. Pretty. So says Glenn Hodlin. He's a better analyst than me. Look, the team lineup. Where's Toby Alderweireld? You're away from home in a hostile country, admittedly with no crowd. You're 2-0 up. You need to keep it tight. So you think, I know, I'll put Sanchez, who actually, when has played with Toby, has looked pretty assured, and you stick him with Dyer, who I'm sorry, had a terrible game tonight, and I can't remember him having a really good game in a Spurs shirt. He's been shocking this season. Shocking. I know Jose likes leaders, but there was no leadership from him tonight whatsoever. None. So that's the first issue. Then you go into midfield and you've got Sissoko and Winks. Now, you all know I'm not the biggest fan of Winks, and you all know I'm not the biggest fan of Sissoko, but put them together, and what have you got? A clusterfuck. That's what you've got, and that's exactly what it was.
David, your thoughts when you saw the lineup?
Because I'm a sad anorak, I wrote down what I thought the lineup was going to be last night before I went to bed, and it was pretty much what I expected it to be. Højbjerg out and fit and on form and not tired. Højbjerg shows how much we missed him tonight. Davinson Sanchez, all I have to say about him is that we spent £42 million on him 4 years ago. That was the summer that Harry Maguire went from Hull to Leicester at considerably less money. And whatever you might say about Maguire now, Leicester got 2 good years out of him, and Man United got a bit good out of him. And you look at Ajax after Sanchez left, they got to the semi-final of the Champions League. He's not improved. It's 4 years now. He gets bullied by physical defenders. His positioning is shocking. He needs an Alderweireld next to him, yeah. But the point was they made 7 changes tonight because we're playing in the second-string European competition. We're 2-0 up from the first leg. We should be expected to get through. And with that lineup, I expected us to get through.
I don't think there's any debate about we should have got through with that lineup. Sanchez is a Colombian international centre-back. Dyer is an English international centre-back. And... they should be good enough, but for whatever reason, be it defensive coaching, defensive drills, just not being good enough, they're not good enough. So for me, you're in a semi-final, you're away from home. There is a massive issue with that lineup. I understand you've got to rotate, but by the same token, you want to win the game.
Well, Seb, first half, we were saying earlier that it was probably the most boring half of football I've seen in a long time. I was kind of hoping second half would be the same, and we just thought we might concede a goal, but it would just be boring like the first half. But there was the opportunity there. We were 2-0 up already. If we'd have started on the front foot, got the goal early, it's game over. It was terrible first half.
No one was doing anything. Look, we can all pretend to kind of dissect this and try and find a reason, but it's not hard. It's not hard to see that. And I don't want to sound repetitive the whole time, but there was no plan. We don't look like we're trying to score a goal, and I've said it on pod after pod. I seem to come on after defeats at the moment. We don't look like we're trying to score a goal. I can't see any pattern of play. We had Lucas and Lamela on today, and we've talked ad infinitum about them and what they can offer or not. One-footed Lamela, Lucas running into players. Kane, he shouldn't have been on the pitch in the first place, but there's just no semblance of identifying what we're trying to do. I don't enjoy watching Tottenham. I don't think anyone has enjoyed much of this season. I really can't think of many games that I've enjoyed, even games that we've won, City, Arsenal, earlier in the season. We were biting our nails because we were getting bullied all over the pitch and we were hanging on for dear life. And we had maybe 4 or 5 weeks of kind of going, we're top, but don't know how. And since then, I mean, we haven't beaten anyone half decent. The Dinamo Zagreb are a third-rate European team. They people were surprised that they got to the last 16. I think they were ranked the second worst team in the last 16.
Well, to put it into context, Seb, everyone was doing cartwheels when we drew them.
Exactly. Who have we beaten decent this season since Man City?
I knew you were going to put a caveat in there.
The best team we've beaten is Leeds on paper. That is as good as it's got for us. But we're not even bang average, because tonight wasn't average. An average team tonight gets out with a 0-0 or a 1-0. Arsenal are a bang average team. They lost 1-0 tonight, right? That's bang average. We are worse than that.
I think we lost the plot when Lamella went off.
Well, Caller, I'll come to you next. We're pissed off. We are pissed off. We do have to give credit to Zagreb. We do. Orsic's goal, his first one, I think, was a peach of a goal. And I mean, we have to acknowledge that. Like, they played well. It wasn't just us being shit.
I don't think anyone's challenging that they played well. We were shit. We hang on too deep. We invited them onto us. And when we've said it time and time again this season, when you invite teams onto you, then the inevitable happens. And it did. The first goal was a cracker. But how much time and space did he have to hit the damn thing?
Well, that was Aurier, because he was caught out of possession and didn't get back in time.
That
was the first one from the left.
We haven't got a good right back between us. Play Tanganga. You may as well.
Yeah, I agree. What I was going to say about the lineup, Tanganga, it's a bit like those 70s disaster movies. His selection, like someone appears for a while, then disappears, and no one knows what's happened to them. Tanganga had a good game against City away, by all accounts. Against Arsenal, if you got Tierney and the other one going down the left, you got Bale who doesn't get back much. Well, why don't you play the fullback who doesn't naturally go forward all the time? His name's Tanganga. Play him.
I don't understand how we think we're going to hold on to a lead and you don't play your best defender and your most defensive central midfielder is out missing.
This is exactly my point.
I don't get it, but I think there's something that we need to address here, and it's something that's been brought up loads. That does Jose instruct the players to defend and see out when we're winning, as we were winning this game at the start of it, and I don't think he does, and I don't think that's the issue. I don't think he says we're going to hang on to this. As I said before, what I think he does is he doesn't tell them, he doesn't give them patterns of play. They're not coached. They are not coached at all. I can't see, and if they are, it's appalling. I can't see who coaches the team, and it's not just Jose. Historically has had squads where he develops this siege mentality, and it's us against the world. And we saw a smidgen of that earlier in the season with the kind of defensive tactic. But let's not get the two things confused. He wants to develop a siege mentality, but the players aren't good enough. So they need to be coached. And he's not a coach. He said that himself. But I don't think there's anyone at the club who is a coach. And so they are going out onto the pitch and they haven't got a clue what they're doing.
What about little João? Like, he's just finished his GCSEs. Surely he can coach someone. Like, what's he there for? Anyway,
he's not a coach, is he?
No, he's a kid.
You have the coaching staff. At the end of the day, you have the coaching staff. You have a goalkeeping coach, an attacking coach, a defensive coach, etc., 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 which we do have. You can argue about what but you can't say they're not coached. We have.
Okay, do they look coached? Do they look? Do you think there are? I know it's the other extreme, but look at Man City. They're coached to within an inch of their lives, right? They're not just good by luck, right? Yes, they've got good players, but Guardiola and his coaching team make those players better.
I don't disagree. The best coach we had, we sacked, and Pochettino. He's a fantastic improver of players. Took the team as far as it could, don't get me wrong. And I think he should have been sacked. Absolutely right. Which a lot of people who listen to this will disagree with. But was he a great coach? Yeah. Yeah, you've got managers that are coaches and managers that are managers. Managers that are managers get by if they've got good coaches.
You look at Fergie.
Strategy and a good strategy. Yeah, exactly. Fergie wasn't on the pitch like kicking balls around, yelling drill instructions, was he? It's a ridiculous notion to think that Mourinho should be a great coach. What he should have is an overriding strategy with his coaching team that picks all of that stuff up. I completely agree with that. But to expect him to be a coach is ridiculous.
Speaking of his coaching team, Seb, you said in the Slack chat with the Patreons that was Ledley crying? Did he cry?
He looked like it.
Yeah, it looked to me like he was. Yeah, like he was crying. Look, a lot hung on that tonight. We'll probably have a decide in a minute where we think our season is, but that was the big one. That was the important one. The League.
We were
Cup
the favourites. We were the favourites, Seb.
The League Cup final. Look, I've never. I mean, we haven't got to many cup finals in my lifetime, but I can't really be asked. Honestly, we'll get our asses handed to us, and even if the miracle did happen and we won it, that we've had the most ridiculous run to the final. I mean, it's
Seb,
more like a limp.
Let me ask you a question. If we get to the final and you get offered a ticket, would you take it?
Of course, I would. I'm a Spurs fan.
Would you be singing the Jose Mourinho song?
No.
If he's still the manager at the final.
Well, we're going to get into that.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Let's just tie up the game.
Yes.
I know we shouldn't, but fuck it. Let's just try and get it done out of the way. David, I'll come to you on this one, actually. The second goal, it almost felt inevitable. And again, the ease with which it fucking happened. Like the cross in, he had plenty of people to choose, and there was no...
That's just me opening another gin and drowning my sorrows. Yes, I'm on a fitness kick. I'm working out really hard. Paul Meal, bless him, he's giving me a bit of coaching, and he won't like this, but I've gone completely off fucking plan. And Spurs have driven me to drink, literally, because I don't drink in the week. I don't, and I've been good with this for weeks now. And today, I literally got to extra time, and it was just showtime. And the party's still going. So we've got the Whitley Neal on the go. Sorry, Dave, for interrupting you with my popping of a cork, but it could have been worse.
No problem. I've got a work dinner tonight where I'm going to have people just lining up wanting to speak to me about this. So I don't know when I should start drinking this afternoon. The second goal, Davis stood off, allowed the cross to come in, and he got on the wrong side of Sissoko, and it went. Another defensive error. That's how it's happened. So, you've got a back line of Aurier, Sanchez, Dyer, and Davis. It's not looking good, is it?
As the Romans would say, calamitous maximus.
Indeed.
Yeah, right. Then third goal, caller, I'll come to you. The extra time came in, and we were competing a bit more in extra time, I thought, at least.
Yeah.
Because we fucking had to.
Because we had to, exactly.
But that third goal, I mean, run us through it.
Well, if I'm being total disclosure, I'd gone to the man cave to get another gin.
Oh, yeah, you said.
So I missed it.
All right, Seb.
I'm going to get it now.
Run us through the third goal.
Okay, so I'll go back to what I said earlier, which is half time and extra time. Everyone's just ambling about, nice little chats. Jose's doing his talking into the palm thing to Aurier. And 30 seconds later, when the half kicks off, no one's engaged. Bale lets the man run past him. Aurier dangles a foot. Sanchez half-assed attempt. And it was a good finish. Credit to that player, Orsic. He's done very well, but just so lax. And I'm sorry, I want to see a manager fire him up or giving instructions. I want to see the players look focused at half time.
What you need is Harry Redknapp.
I want to see something because I get nothing. I can't see what he's doing on the side of the pitch. He doesn't look like he's doing a lot. He looks a bit moody sometimes. It looks like if a player mucks up, he kind of gives him the eyes. Big wow! I'm really, it was that third goal was indicative of the whole night. Lax, half-assed, not bothered. I don't need to say any more on that.
Can we stop talking about the game now and get on to more pressing matters? Now I've tried my pants.
Go on then. Right. Well, let's get on to it. So, spotlight is on Jose. I've been getting WhatsApp messages from people saying, "Oh, is this the end for Jose?" Caller, you state your case for or against the charged. What is it? The plaintiff.
I don't believe that Jose Mourinho can continue in the role. And the reason for that is because he's not lost all the dressing room, but he's lost a chunk of it. And there are certain players that I just don't think respect him and aren't giving their all. And that, if the team had to turn up tonight and give it a shit and gone out valiantly on their sword in any game, I don't think anyone, like I said earlier, I don't think anyone would have a problem with it. We'd be upset, we lost, etc. We could analyse tactics. But the one thing we should never be analysing is effort. And unfortunately, the players have stopped playing.
Sorry to jump in, you think it was effort as opposed to the limitations of the players on the pitch?
Absolutely. Look, the limitations is
players
bollocks.
aren't limited.
The players are not limited. That is bollocks. And there are a lot
of midfield. Dyer and Sanchez in defence. Winks and Sissoko midfield.
That's
the basis for.
They're good enough. They're good enough to beat Zagreb if they turn up. I'm sorry. Moussa Sissoko is a very well respected French international. Now, I've slagged him off tongue in cheek, but the guy puts in a shift normally and works up. Now, where was his tracking for that second goal? Non-existent. That's a player that's given up or not drilled, one or the other. You take a pick, but it rests at his door and the manager's door. I do not agree with people saying we haven't got a good side. We've got a top full squad. We've got a Champions League squad. We've got some of the best players in the Premier League in our team. And I think it's complete nonsense to suggest otherwise. You look at the pedigree we've got in that side, especially going forwards. So what do? We sit back and defend and lethargically at that. Awful. That's why Jose ultimately, much as I've defended him, I backed him, I want him in the job, but it hasn't worked out. And when things don't work out, you've got to cut your losses and move on quickly. Just like in relationships and life. If something's not working and you're not happy, then change it. And right at this moment, Daniel Levy should not be happy in this relationship.
Okay, so I go next?
Yeah, go on. Sorry, my wife just came in with a bottle of wine. I'm like, I've got the other wine here. So I'm good.
Speaking of happy in relationship, Brendan's absolutely loving life. He's got a bottle of wine, his little beer glass. He's happy as Larry.
So fucking weird. I do have a bottle of wine and my little beer glass is there as well.
It's like I can see in your house.
I know. It's weird. David, we're going to get on to the owners soon.
Okay.
You have feelings about that, and it's something that we are accused of not talking about enough. So I'm glad you're on for that one.
Jose,
where do you sit?
Okay, so when I joked that when we sacked Pochettino and got in Jose, it was like sacking Santa and getting in Satan. Okay, so my view was that Pochettino had taken us to 2 finals, 3 semi-finals in 5 years. And by the way, if I hear one more person say Pochettino never took domestic cup competition seriously, honestly, it's 2 FA Cup semi-finals, 1 League Cup final, and a League Cup semi-final in 5 years. So please, he's never got us over the line in any of those games. He made baffling decisions. Son at left wing back against Chelsea. Jose owned him at the semi-final at Wembley. And so I thought we'd get in Mourinho. He'll play a particular brand of football that we won't like, but we'll just have to pull up with it if we win trophies. That's the deal with the devil that we're making. It's looking very clear now that is not going to happen. And I think that really he's a busted flush. So I would say he would go.
Not a busted flush. You can't use Seb's terminology. No, not having it.
But the other thing is about the squad. I no longer think that is a top 4 Champions League squad. Okay, within 2 years of getting into the Champions League final, we've now come to this. There are a number of players at that club who, if we were to be a top 4, potentially challenging for the league, are simply not good enough. There's a list of them. And I don't think we have a squad that is good enough. And what the great shame is that really the finest striker really of our generation that we're ever going to see at this club, he will go, and I don't blame him because he wants to win trophies. And we have wasted his goals and his talent because we didn't have the infrastructure around him to take us to that level.
Seb, your thoughts on Jose before we get on to the ENIC debate?
Okay, so I wrote an article where I called Jose a busted flush, and I alluded to it earlier, his methods, if you can call them that, are outdated now. Okay, and the players are clever, and with the ever increasing social media, they see things, content of the type that we do, and they know what the feeling is, and they will see, and they will know they are not being coached properly. I'm sorry to
Hang
keep
on,
saying.
sorry, I have to call you out on some nonsense. 10 years ago, Facebook existed, didn't it?
Yeah, but it's getting more and more and more prevalent. There are opinions everywhere. Yeah. Every
There
single
have been
person.
for ages. There have been for ages. That's got nothing to do with whether Mourinho's tactically up to date or not.
But it's so easy to see more and more opinion. That's what I'm trying to say. It's everywhere.
I'll agree with you there. Look how many podcasts there are on Spurs.
I've forgotten what the original question was now. What was the question, Brendan?
Jose.
Jose in or out?
I've been saying it for weeks. Out.
Hang on. You were like, we're in a cup final, and you were praising. And look, I've been fucking bouncing back and forth doing the hokey cokey myself.
I've been saying it since just before the West Ham game, and I wrote an article after the West Ham game.
That's not very long, Seb.
It's long. It's been plenty of games since then. It's been awful for most of the season, and I was happy to go along with it. I admit, after the City game and the Arsenal game, and you top of the league, and then the Liverpool game I thought was really, really unlucky. The first one where we lost in the last minute, and you think we're clinging on here a little bit, and we didn't play that badly, and it's just gone downhill. Honestly, it's the first time I can remember since. I didn't even mind us that much under AVB. And since Sherwood, it's the first time I can't be asked to watch us.
You're doing
I do, but it's an effort. No, I'm not. I really object to this. Where have I said that I'm a big Jose backer? Where?
You haven't needed to. You haven't been mouthing Jose out all season. That's the point.
I'm not going to mouth Jose out when we're top of the league, but it's awful. If you dissect it, like we have to, you really analyse it. There's, apart from maybe Kane, who's at his stand, he's at the standard that he always is. Pretty much every player's gone backwards.
Son,
Right.
Son. We rave about Son. I would say he's had a 7 out of 10 season. There was a time when he was 9, 10 out of 10 towards the start of the season. He's gone well off the boil. Okay,
I agree with that. I think he's been in shit form.
I can't think of another player apart from Kane that has improved at all this season. Most have gone backwards. Now, for me, that's not coincidence. That is down to lack of management and lack of coaching.
There's only one player who's massively improved because he was so crap last season, and that's Ndombele.
Yeah,
I thought you were going to say Serge Aurier. He's improved, hasn't he?
Yeah, Aurier as well. There's been green shoots from a few players, but just going back to some of our Facebook group that have sent in some comments, we had over 300 comments from our Facebook post today. So thank you so much, Cheeseheads, for getting
about
involved.
3 minutes. Yeah,
I know, it was mental. One of my favourites is Stephen Clark. The wrong coach went to jail. Jose is stealing 15 million a year.
that one. Yeah, that's good.
Very good.
Quality from Stephen Clark. Kelly Brooks, just sacked the manager now, not been happy with him from day one, and now he's just ruined us. Should have started with Bale and let us go out attacking instead of just switched off and uninterested. But being uninterested lays with the players. But I wonder if the manager and his strange tactics and thinking make players that way. A couple more. Shane Clark, players are knackered. We have played more games than any other team in Europe. Now Villa, then internationals. What will Euros look like with players getting injured and fatigued and then being knackered for next season? Which is a good point. Fatigue does play a role. We have played the most games of any team in Europe this season and scored the most goals, but then that would go with form. Steve Smith, totally fucked off. No passion, no commitment, no idea. All in caps. That's for me. That's it for me this season. I'm embarrassed to be a Spurs fan. Worst performance since Mourinho arrived. Been a Spurs fan for over 50 years. Never been this negative. So
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot, Bren. I'm going to put you on the spot. So I asked a bit of a question on my Twitter. If anyone wants a pod shout out, bring the best question. No surprise, they're both about Jose's future. McLean's said, ask HG, if we sack Jose this summer, what if we appoint Brendan Rodgers with a smiley face? I like that one. And Scott MB said, I think the biggest question is, where do we go from here? We've got the stadium, we've got the infrastructure, we've got the training ground, we brought a trophy-winning manager and have Bale back to join two of the world's best forwards. It's absolutely maddening. So, Bren, no one's asked you. I'm going to ask you, Jose in or out, what's the future hold?
I'm out. I'm out. Like, see, this is it. Like, after Brighton, I was out, and then we got a few wins under our belt, and I was like, okay, I'm back in, and then I'm out again. Like, and this is football. We are so reactionary. We're so fly by night. That's the one. But the football's shit. Like, and the players are good. Whereas in the 90s, when I was going to the games, the players were shit. And the football was inevitably shit as well. Our players aren't that bad, as you said. So I really don't know. I don't know. Like,
Jose's gone to 13 to 10 to be sacked.
Okay, so who do we want as the next manager? That's the next question.
There's two questions here to deal with. This is not going to be a short pod. Sorry, Bren, you might be up late editing this. Question number one, ENIC, as you want to talk about ENIC, we can talk about ENIC, and what does the future hold from them. And then the second thing is, who do we want? I mean, it's easy to say the bookie's favourite was Nagelsmann, wasn't it?
But what has he won? Again, it's...
No, the bookie's favourite was indeed Brendan Rodgers at one point. So, Brad, who do you want? I mean, he's going. I'm telling you now, he's going. It might be now. It might be the end of the season. But Daniel Levy is not going to stomach this performance. Like, he sacked Poch, who was in effect idolised by the fans. Quite what for? Because he won absolutely nothing. He did elevate us, to be fair, to the Champions League equation. But he sacked Poch for not winning stuff fundamentally, and then a massive slump in form. So. He ain't going to think twice about sacking Mourinho. Fuck the money. 30 million in the scheme of Tottenham is chicken feed.
You're dead right. You're dead right. I've seen so many things on social media saying he won't sack Mourinho. He's wanted him for years. Levy is an asset protector, right? That's what he does. He protects his assets, and his assets at the moment are that stadium and Harry Kane.
He protects his asset
very
well. And he's built Tottenham. He's not going to let someone move it backwards rapidly.
Exactly.
And David will be chopping at the bit here, going, he hasn't built Tottenham. Kill him anyhow. Yeah.
Let's go on then. Let's talk about ENIC then. David, you mentioned before we started recording that you did have certain feelings about ENIC. So here's your platform.
Okay. Are you ready?
Are you ready for a counter? Is that all right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's a democracy.
Can I play rough or do we have to just be foreplay?
You go right into it.
Do I bring the strap on or just bring the feather duster? What do you want?
Both.
Okay.
Ready? Okay. They've been in charge so what is the role of the ownership of a club? It's to provide the infrastructure, small I, to produce success on the pitch. And from there on, everything will flow. They've been in charge for 20 years now. They paid Sugar 21 million quid initially in 2000. That club's now probably valued at about 2 billion. Okay. In that time, we've won one trophy, and that is the same as Wigan, Birmingham, and Portsmouth. Okay. Our net spend over the last 5 years in the Premier League, I think we're about 16th or 17th, and we're behind the beloved Mike Ashley at Newcastle. Okay. Doing the prep for the Villa game, I've noticed that over the last 5 years, Villa's net spend is more than ours. Okay. Now, everyone says that the stadium has got to be paid for. It's never been made terribly clear to the supporters as to how that stadium has been financed. My understanding is there is a debt facility of around 600 million. The stadium cost over $1 billion. So presumably the club would have tipped in money. And what has actually ENIC put into the stadium build? We don't know.
hang on. There's a couple of fact checks in there. First of all,
Go on.
the stadium didn't cost $1 billion. The total stadium project, including the hotel, which hasn't been even ground dug out yet, and everything else, is over. That's the first thing. The second thing is the debt facility is actually up to £800 million, and most of it is in massively leveraged bonds that are not payable back for 20 years. Right, so there is no rush to pay that money back, albeit we do owe
But
it.
there's still interest payment every year. There's interest payment.
Yeah, there are, but they're nominal. And then in terms of what the clubs, if you look at the accounts, you can see the clubs invested around about £300 to £400 million in the building of the stadium. But that is the whole process from scope to design, build. And that's over a long period of time. And ENIC are an investment company. We don't expect them to, they don't expect to put a fortune in. The whole point is that Tottenham is a self-sustained business club.
Okay.
For the long term. Now, if we want millionaire owners who are going to spend a fortune on it, which I get people do want to see that, I completely understand that, then it needs to be bought by Arabs, ultimately.
Okay.
Saudi oil beheading money or what?
The counter to that is Joe Lewis, FX trader, he's a billionaire. Okay.
I know a lot about Joe.
Yeah. Okay. So he that's how he's made his money. Daniel Levy did land management at Cambridge University. His family, Mr. Byright, he's 20% in ENIC. So in one sense, Tottenham and the stadium build, in a way, sometimes the club feels like a massive urban redevelopment project. Okay. We are a football club first and foremost. The transfers as a club, as a policy in 20 years, I cannot think of one player that we have bought who's 25, 26 years old, who is in the prime of his career and is an established player to add to the squad. We buy potential.
It's never been the strategy. That's never been the strategy of the parent of the club. So that's not our transfer strategy and hasn't been.
Well, okay. But what I'm saying to you is, if that is our transfer strategy, and it's brought us one trophy in 20 years, so that's one trophy out of a potential 60 domestic competitions and chucking another 10 for Europe. Okay, that's not much of a return on the pitch. Okay,
but there's several factors here. Number one, it's incredibly hard to win trophies. So if you look at the list of clubs who within that 20-year window have won trophies, they're pretty much exclusively top four sides who have got either no infrastructure development and therefore a lot more available funds when they're not spending £400 million on a brand new state-of-the-art training ground and a stadium, so that they've used that money for that. If in the case of, say, Liverpool, for example, who, by the way, did went broke a few years ago. Let's not forget that at all. And United, who are also £600 million in debt, but operate on a revenue 4 times the size of us, or did. Everything ENIC has done, in my opinion, with my business head on, is absolutely correct. Because what they've done over a long period of time is had a long-term vision of a self-sustainable football club that can compete via financial fair play rules. Spurs having the turnover they have and developing the turnover they have has resulted in the last 2 years of a net transfer spend of around about 200 million quid, because they are finally investing in the team. Now, what hasn't happened, obviously, is COVID's come in the middle of that and thrown a massive spanner in the works. But it's quite easy to see that they've taken a club who, glorious history and all the rest of it, in the 60s, we were big. Not won much in years, right? So forget the one trophy in 20 years. Before that, we won about one trophy in the previous 20 years, or 3, right? We're not a prolific trophy club and haven't been since the 60s. So we kind of need to almost forget the notion that Tottenham are this big, successful club, because although we like to think it's a myth.
Seb, I want to get your thoughts. You've been very quiet there. Seb, where do you sit on this ENIC back and forth?
So I don't have a problem with ENIC. I think that there have been some missed opportunities for investment on the pitch. But we need to remember, as sad as it is, football now is a business. And as Caller said, ENIC have put Tottenham Hotspur at the top table in English football. we could have been, the way we were going in the 90s, we could have been a Sheffield Wednesday, a Leeds United, a Derby County, a Nottingham Forest. All these teams that actually have, we like as Caller said, we like to look at our history and say we're one of the great clubs. Those clubs have just as much history, if not more, than us. Forest, Villa, all those teams have had a great history through the 60s, 70s, 80s. We could have been one of those. We could find ourselves in the Championship. That's the way it was going before Enoch came in, right? We were having relegation battles, and it only takes a few of those, and eventually you lose and you go down. So they have positioned us to be, we are one of the top 6 clubs in the UK. Now, like I said, there has been failure to invest at the right times, but I put that down to the stadium build. And also, when you're saying about buying like world-class ready-made players, I would argue over the last few years, if we want to compare ourselves to Liverpool haven't bought those type of players. They bought punts, if you like, in Mane and Salah, who hadn't done it in the Premier League before, and Firmino. No one had really been following him before he came, and Robertson and players like that. My biggest issue with the whole structure is our scouting department that is regularly shit. So that is my biggest issue is that I think Levy gets the football structure wrong on many occasions. That is the issue. His choices, and don't get me wrong, when Mourinho goes, when Mourinho goes, I can bet you that the structure will be wiped and start again with something completely fresh, completely new. And the problem that I have with that is that you're then asking the players, as we've said, that they are assets, if you like, within the business structure. You're asking the players, mainly Kane, to reinvest themselves into something completely new again. And when does it actually turn to the point where Kane and Son and others go, no, I've done this. I've tried the Pochettino way. I've tried the hiring a winner in inverted commas way, and now you want me to go with and it'll be some young up and coming Nagelsmann-like manager. And that's the problem I have, is the structure is just always wrong and always seems very ad hoc.
We've got the wrong people managing the recruitment. I think that is absolutely true. I don't think there's even a debate about that.
And that's where the majority of the anti-Enoch rhetoric comes from, is the failings in the transfer market, is the where we didn't go that extra mile, where we let players like Dybala slip through, where we let Grealish go, where we let
Grealish go, all the rest of it. They're complex. Right, at the time, let's take Grealish as an example. At the time, I went on Glory Tottenham Hotspur and various other Facebook pages, because the Caller has been around many, many years and a member of many Facebook groups. And people were outraged that we were interested in Jack Grealish. And the Enoch outlaw were like, that's the extent of our transfer policy. We're trying to sign some shit no one from Villa, on a bargain basement price, 5 million. Oh, he's shit. Why? He wouldn't get in our team. He wouldn't even make the bench. He wouldn't even get in our squad. And I'm joking not. Those are actual... I remember those 2 quotes particularly. He wouldn't make our squad. He wouldn't make the bench. And those were from the Enoch outlaw. Right. Now the Enoch outlaw are using it as a tool to bash Levy with and go, he should have struck with the old top. Oh, Grealish, he's a great player. Look at him now, 90 million's worth of talent, all the rest of it. You can't have it all ways, and you can't get every deal right. You can't. And
Bruno Fernandes as well. Bruno Fernandes is one where...
Bruno Fernandes is a great shout. But again... we signed ourselves for not far off that money. We signed Dembele for 60 odd million quid.
Sadio Mane was another one.
Yeah, but there are always going to be. It's easy. It's so easy. And this is what upsets me. It's the simplicity of the argument. The owner should spend more money. It's their fault.
I know that's not the argument, though, is it? The argument is that the money and the structure should be better.
It's not the argument you're making, Seb.
But Steve Hitchens says that he doesn't like January, right? That's not a good start.
And then, the point I'm making is the Enoch out argument is too simplistic.
Oh, of course.
They're not looking at what they've done for the club, what they've built, the revenue position we're in now. We're in a far better position, even lumbered with a bit of stadium debt, which is leveraged over a very long period of time at a very low interest rate, I may add. We are in a far, far, far better position than 90% of the Premier League clubs.
Well,
Okay, caller, question for you.
Last chat on anything with David, then we'll wrap up.
All right, caller, last question for you. The first game that you went to at Tottenham, was it a member of your family who said to you, I don't know, how old were you?
I was about 9, probably
9.
8.
So when the member of your family, was your dad or mum, whatever, said to you, come, I want to take you down to White Hart Lane today. Did they talk to you about the balance sheet? Did they talk to you about the net to debt ratio, all this kind of stuff? No. You went there because you were excited to go there and go and see the team on the pitch and get excited. I'm of the generation who had, so I started going the old Division 2. Okay, first game 9-0 Bristol Rovers. So I was very lucky to have 2 FA Cups and a UEFA Cup in about 4 years, League Cup finals. Felt like I was going to Wembley every other week. When top players came on the market, like Gary Lineker, the England striker, he came to us because of Venables, whatever. And looking back, obviously I was spoiled. Grew up on Glenn Hoddle, and I know I'm sounding like an old man and all the rest of it. But now where are we at to now? In terms of the transfer policy, we have tried different structures in the 20 years. We've had 3 directors of football off the top of my head. We've had no directors of football. It goes from one to another. We had this Trevor Birch guy join us in last August, September. Within 3 months, he's gone to the Football League.
Yeah, but he's signing
players. But the point is about But the point is about strategy and things like that. Mane was shown around the training ground by Pochettino. We didn't want to pay him over $100,000 a week because at the time we weren't paying Kane. We bought in Sissoko, and Pochettino made it very clear in that book that wasn't his choice. And Pochettino just gave us our first Premier League title run in years, and that's Levy's choice. And then we spend that money in the last transfer window. The 2 transfer windows ago, where Levy was more than happy to say on Amazon Prime, we had the biggest net spend, 125. Who did we buy? Ryan Sessegnon for 25 million, who is a young player. He had 1 season in the Premier League, and he didn't play that. He wasn't that good in a struggling team. He didn't stand out like Grealish stood out in the Villa team, and he came with torn hamstring and couldn't play for 3 months. Lo Celso, he's turned out to be okay. His potential, he's injury prone, but he's not established. And then Ndombele, the manager says we've got to give him another, he'll need a year to settle in. We've just paid over 50 million quid for him. So I have real problems with our recruitment. And the final thing to say is you look at our regrettable leavers in the 20 years of the squad, right? Kyle Walker, Berbatov, Carrick, Bale, Modric, they've all gone on to clubs that have invested in the squads and won trophies.
We were smaller back then. You can't compare it. You can't compare it. That's ridiculous. You can't say letting Modric go was a mistake or Bale. At the time, we were a small club.
But my point is not about a mistake or otherwise. They've gone on somewhere else to a club that invests in the squad and have won trophies.
Hang on, they've gone to Real Madrid, who've got the King of Spain as a main backer. You can't compare the two. That's ridiculous.
But look at Carrick. Look. What I'm saying to you is, it's not. It's what I'm saying. But what I'm saying to you is, they've gone to clubs with backing to invest in the playing squad. And my view is, the ownership does not invest in the playing squad. We buy potential on and it's like trading the FX markets. It's like your property development. You buy, you hope to have a good sell on value. Yeah. That's what we're doing. And it's more miss than hit on our recruitment.
I don't disagree with you.
Okay, I'm gonna call it time. Within an hour. Come on. Right. We would normally do an Aston Villa preview.
No, don't.
We're not gonna do it. We may do a YouTube video
because we're just going to talk about Jack fucking Grealish again,
or Ollie Watkins.
Ollie Watkins. I'm sure there's some wise guys saying we should have signed him as well.
But on the subject of the Villa game, we should talk about a little bit. Caller, do you think we will see a reaction from the players, or do you think they'll just be knackered and it will be another loss?
No, we're going to lose. Why'd you ask me that?
I don't know.
I thought we were doing a preview of it. Move on.
No, that's the only bit.
You haven't asked who we want as the replacement for Mourinho, have you?
All right, who do you want as a replacement for Mourinho then, caller?
One of two people, Nagelsmann or Brendan Rodgers, both of which will hack HG off and it'll be hilarious.
Seb?
David Pleat till the end of the season. And,
Tim Sherwood.
Edgar Davids. He'll do. Mate, honestly, I don't care now. For me, the season... fucking hell. Oh, it was so fucking winnable. With a half-decent fucking plan, it was winnable. Oh.
What happened, though? He changed the plan.
David, thoughts on manager? Anyone you want brought in?
Well, the obvious ones is going to be Nagelsmann because everyone wants to hire Germans. Everyone wants to hire Germans now, so we'll follow the trend. He's got them second in the Bundesliga. They're very well backed, actually, but they got schooled by Liverpool in the Champions League, and Liverpool are shit this season, so that's my reservations there. The other one, you look at Brendan Rodgers. Will he really want to come to us? He's got Champions League next season, pretty much nailed on. And he's got owners who will sell the top assets, but then they'll reinvest. Their recruitment is very, very strong. Will he want to come to Tottenham? I'm not so sure.
Neither of them will.
I've got a slightly left field one here. I'd fucking push Everton to let us go in for Ancelotti. I don't know how long his contract is.
There's no chance, Bren.
He is Mourinho without the baggage, and that's what we wanted.
There's no chance.
We went the wrong fucking established prestigious manager.
We backed the wrong old guy.
Exactly.
But there's no chance. I mean, don't even talk about him. It's ridiculous. He ain't gonna come.
I think that's a great name for the pod. The wrong old guy.
Yeah, it is actually.
I'd like Christophe Galtier. There you go. There's a left field one for you.
But I like his perfume, but I don't know how good a manager he is. Right, Cheese, there's just enough time to let you know about the latest prize you can get from our friends at footballprizes.co.uk. It's a big one this week. It's a signed, framed Son shirt with a TV and LED lights and everything. There are 125 tickets available at $8.95 a piece, but with your promo code 10cheese, that's 10cheese, you can get a 10% discount. The draw is made on Monday, so good luck. David, thanks for joining me.
I'm saving myself for the Matt Doherty signed boot.
He'll be selling it himself on eBay. David, thanks for joining, mate.
Absolute pleasure.
Seb, cheers, man.
No worries at all. Thanks for having me on.
Caller, thanks again.
Always good, mate. Always good.
Cheeseheads, do remember to listen out for what we hope will be a review of an emphatic win over Aston Villa. It's weird. I feel it feels weird even saying it. It feels weird saying it, but we should. Fucking hell.
Dirty?
Who knows?
Do you feel
Who
dirty?
knows? Who knows? What we hope will be a win over Villa on Sunday from Franco and the European crew. Don't forget to check us out on your socials. And as ever, keep the faith. As always, come on, you Spurs.
Keep the faith in life. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Never hide. Come on, you Spurs.